put up with almost anything, writing it off to, oh, well, he's American and he comes from a different culture.
You realize on the closing night performance, oh, now I understand that moment.
It's a very funny play. You try to find a comedy with something to say. I mean, we're doing a couple of comedies this summer, but Kraig had just done it down in Philadelphia and was very remarkable in the role, and I asked him if he would be willing to come up here and do it again, and he said okay.
When we were doing The Foreigner in Philadelphia, we were having that series of snowstorms, blizzards that took out the eastern seaboard in January and February. All of the public transportation in New Jersey and Pennsylvania shut down, so nobody could even get to us. We actually did a performance of The Foreigner for an audience of six people, and that's fewer than in the cast. So when Gus suggested that we do it here, I said, well, there won't be any snowstorms. It really wasn't a difficult decision. Sometimes it's really great to revisit a show because a lot of times you realize on the closing night performance, oh, now I understand that moment, or, oh, now I know how to get that laugh, and you don't get to do it anymore.
Larry Shue, the playwright, lived in Japan for a while, studied in Japan, and he discovered that in Japan, because of the difference in cultures, people would misunderstand what he was trying to do but they would put up with almost anything, writing it off to, oh, well, he's American and he comes from a different culture. So he thought, this is an essentially comic idea, and wrote it into The Foreigner.
I think when Larry Shue was traveling to Japan, there was this kind of forgiveness of any bad behavior, saying, oh, well, that's, I guess, the way people in the Occident are. In Europe, it doesn't feel forgiving. It feels like when you make a mistake, it's like, well, that's the kind of schmuck they're sending over here these days.
The Englishman, a very shy Englishman who's at a hunting lodge in Georgia, who's been brought there by a friend of his because he's having trouble in his marriage and he just wants to get away, and he doesn't want to have to deal with people. So his friend tells everyone that he doesn't speak English. So, because he doesn't want anybody to talk to him. Of course, he does speak English and he understands everything that's going on around him, but because everyone thinks he doesn't speak English, he becomes aware of all sorts of nefarious things that are going on, and then is it his responsibility to solve these problems or just let them go? And he gets himself involved in everything. And as a result, is forced to come out of his shell and make friends and sort of rescue these people in a totally untoward kind of way.
The character I'm playing, Charlie Baker, is so uncomfortable in his own skin when we first meet him. He's so miserable. He's so socially awkward. That I actually do relate to. I mean, and that would be both in Europe and in the United States. That's the part I really get. I get the part about the person who is terrified in normal conversation that something's going to come up and I won't have an answer. I'll have nothing to say. I'll feel stupid. I'll feel inarticulate. I think I have a secret terror that I'm boring. Because not only does Charlie have a secret terror that he's boring, he actually is boring. He's a boring, sad little man. The genius of the play is that through this complex series of misunderstandings where he is suddenly thought to be a foreigner, he discovers his inner exciting guy. That's a real gift, I would love to one day discover my secret inner exciting guy. I don't think it's going to happen, but the structure of the play is classically so beautiful. It's such a perfectly made play. in the old-fashioned comedic sense of that word. I mean, you know, the good people who we meet in trouble, they slowly put their lives back together without even knowing it, and conquer the evil. I mean, it's really funny.
I was born a teenage synesthete, hearing colors, seeing taste, and catching my breath.
There's that level of confidence and comfort that you have the very first day when you read the script. We know how everybody works. I know going into it that Carmen's going to give a hysterically funny, quirky performance. With Carmen, the challenge, of course, is she's taking really high lobs at you. I mean, she's hitting you amazing comic curveballs, and so it's like, well, you know, you have to just be present for that kind of onstage wackiness. And the same with Ian and Karen. You know, Ian and Karen can get very squirrely. You know, we like to play, we like to tease, and I hope we didn't annoy Warren, our director, too much with the various titty twisters that would happen at moments of professionalism and maturity. Hopefully we will not do that in front of a paying audience. I make no promises.
Back to our home.